getting a pool. That's cool.
I want a pool.
Joanne says you want to do your alligator tour in Florida. I would love him to come to Florida, as you know.
Not gonna do it.
Stop it, you big baby. Every day's a vacation to your mom.
Good afternoon, Linda.
Hello, Matthew.
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Welcome to QB Community Live this week. Yeah. What do we got going on? We were just talking to everybody about vacation. So let's ask everybody in Facebook land as well. Do us a favor. Where's your next vacation going to be, or did you just go to?
Yeah, that's pretty cool if you can get to someplace. I think a lot of people are doing like the national parks. It's safe. You're outside. You can go to California. You can eat outside. If you want to go to California, you can go visit Matthew in California and eat outside.
No, thank you. So we've got a special show in store for you today. We are trying this week to do what we were trying to do last week with the kind of cool new layout and feel for it. So we're still working through some of the buttons, and well, I forgot, that I need to not click that button, Rick. I forgot that I need to still put the caption at the bottom here, so I'll do that by next week.
Yay.
We really make sure we get the caption every single time. So are you ready to jump into the Fun Fuzzy Day?
Yes, for sure.
Do it.
And it says you had a fun fuzzy day.
Hey, I like the new picture. Good job. Looks good. So yeah, what's this one about?
Well, this one, I mean, I never knew this was even inside of QuickBooks myself. And it's somebody asked, they got a phone call and it was supposed to be Steve from Intuit. And they were, hi, this is Steve from Intuit. And it was, the clients got a call and it seemed to be suspicious. And I've used this many times because there is
a lot of spoof emails and such.
There's bad people. So if you just send an email that you think is suspicious, especially if it's got a weirdo link to it to spoof, they will, they get back to you pretty quickly. And if it's real, they do get back to you and say, no, that's a real thing. And then, it's real. So it's pretty cool.
We got a call from the SBA today, which I was expecting to be spoof, right? About the EIDL and whether we wanted to take it or not. I was like, I wonder if this is going to be fake or not. But so if you guys, it was real. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I only had to give my social security number and credit card to get the information, but apparently there's a check coming any day.
Hey, well, if you see the check that was just on Facebook with Heather, she got a check from the Division of Taxation in Rhode Island, and all the checks went out signed by Mickey Mouse by mistake. That's awesome. That is an only in Rhode Island story. But on that privacy link, there's a lot of good tips on how to be private with your own, what not to do. It's got a whole bunch of links in it. So you go to the gear in QuickBooks Online and then go to privacy, and that will open up that box and you'll see there's a whole thing about how to personally keep your stuff private, how to, report something to Intuit. And that even gives you the links to what is possibly out there currently, because a lot of people like to hack into it apparently. So yeah, it's a pretty cool link.
Yep. And it'll spin forever, and then you'll go there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we shall go to the next one here. So our next slide, we've got, can someone please advise? I am finding PayPal to be very confusing. I added some PayPal donors as customers. I didn't know how else to categorize them. Where is it just at? Created sales receipts for the donations and helped someone connect PayPal to QuickBooks. However, when the transactions appeared in the QB banking register, it will not allow me to categorize them properly. Is there a way to fix this or separately classify donors as donors? Thanks. What do you say?
Well, I know I've seen this with clients. First of all, before you ever hook up an app, please do some kind of a backup. There's backup systems out there for QuickBooks Online, like Rewind. I mean, none of them are perfect, but at least you've got a way to
hook them up with your $5 5 for 5s.
Yeah, practice on a test file for sure. Because you can't undo some of these. I remember when PayPal used to go, you didn't think you connected it and it was actually directly sending stuff into your file. I cleaned a lot of those up back in the day. But I would say that it's a setting issue. And this kind of went through a long thread, and Dan DeLong mentioned like just go to the item that PayPal created and just change uncategorized income to the right income, which is good to do. You also have, it's a little teeny tiny box. And if you don't quite see it, it'll change the historical. So if you go back in and change an item, but it's
Good point.
tiny. And if
So,
you
yeah.
make a mistake and miss it, you can have to go back and just change it to something else and then change it back and then hit the little box.
There's your privacy stuff with Intuit. So
Yeah.
what you're talking about makes a lot of sense actually to try to show real quick.
Mhm.
So what we're talking about is if I come in, gear icon, we're going to go to products and services, and I'm going to just, again, this is a fake company file, so we're not worried about messing something up. I'll click on this one here. We'll edit it. And I picked a bundle like a smart guy. So if I come in and I change this account to something else, right?
Yep.
Also update the this account in historical transactions. There is no like from this period to this period. It is all of them.
Yes.
So keep in mind that would impact prior years if they've been closed in prior tax returns. So you don't like if it's a brand new file doing something like that, or if it's a brand new item you're using, that's a different deal. But if it's mapped up to like a primary thing you've been using for a long time, be very careful with that. I would not recommend it. I would manually go back and change them or create a different item or something like that.
Or if you have like the prior year locked out, it'll throw an error and tell you that you can't do it because it's locked out if it's trying to change historical. So
it'd be great if you would actually just do it all the way to that and be like, stop.
I know if you had a date range, click feedback.
Which is right up here.
Yeah.
Or here. Or
feedback a lot. And they do read it. I used to think it wasn't like, no, they're not reading all that, but they do.
So our next one, I think it really is a setting thing on that. I think there's going to be, because there's a couple different integrations and it's going to be possibly a way something is mapped out that you want to take a look at.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, the last part, is there a way to classify donors as donors? I mean, that's more at the I mean, if paying PayPal, so if they're paying it out, I mean, it's going to be the names that are on there. So you actually, if it's the names and if they're consistent ones, if you're paying out to donor, well, I don't know why you'd be paying out to donors, but if you were paying out, you can go to vendor and set a default account nowadays. If it's customers, which would be donating to you, it's more of a, like, you just have to know them. But I guess the key thing there would be is if that account is primarily money in on that situation, maybe it's using some rules that capture it that way, because you probably don't have a whole bunch of different revenue streams coming through a PayPal account that could be segmented or something.
If you go to the next screen, I think it shows like some of the places you can get settings. And I don't know if you're going to be doing the, hey, I'm on it.
And this is nice new slide.
So it'll show you where you put the settings in to change the settings.
Love it. Together as a team. So it's a little bit bigger there. So this says the item PayPal sales is a default when the product service does not match in QBO. Notice the PayPal item name is then placed in the description to avoid losing the detail of the transaction.
Because it'll even map in your sales tax and everything if you set it up properly. But I did my homework, but you didn't know you were in a meeting, and boom, it's all in there now.
Okay. Next question. Ding, 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 ding. So this one, we're going to do so it's a business was an essential service, but closed for a month during the shutdown because there wasn't any business. Makes sense. Well, were they essential if there wasn't any business though? They didn't get PPP funding. Are they eligible for the employee retention credit for the second quarter if sales were less than 50% for only the month they closed? So this is a good question. There's actually kind of multiple parts to this. Employee was on unemployment for that month. Their total income for the quarter did not drop by 50%. So there's a couple things to unpack in this. We'll make these slides available as well. These are my notes kind of going through and trying to break out after reading through the employee retention credits because, well, there's so much of this stuff that's so like all over the place. The first part of this is they did say that they did not take PPP, which is good. So, because if you have PPP, you're not allowed to take employee retention credits. There are some people and there's questions about, well, what if you took the ERC first and then got PPP later? Really don't know. Theoretically, you're not supposed to do that. It's one or the other. And then there's two reasons.
PPP came up as poopy. Makes me think of stuff. Go ahead, sorry.
So there's two conditions in which the employee retention credits can be triggered, basically. And it's either number one's going to be basically suspending of operations or significant decline in gross receipts. And it does specifically talk about the quarter level. It doesn't just talk about the month to month to month. So, I mean, I wish I could give you a better answer of yes, you could do it by month, but the language says by quarter. So I would have to contact like the SBA or Treasury Department or Mnuchin or somebody and ask them. From what I read on it, it's talking about quarterly specifically. So, but it's a great question. If I learn more about it, we'll follow back up onto it.
Sounds good.
Desktop or laptop? This was a popular post.
Yes. And actually we got another question right before the show that wants to know what smallest laptop they can get to have QuickBooks Desktop on for light files. So I'll let you answer that. But this one, desktop or laptop, and they got a MacBook for travel. So, go to the next slide. There you go. That's what she needs. I'm so glad you didn't look at my homework.
Yeah, actually, Macs are great computers.
And now I have that recorded. Two things in one day. I can't take.
If everybody can't tell, I am a PC fan. So I'm going to just ask one thing. Anybody who is a Mac user that's watching now or later on, I have one question for you.
No, it's a dumb question. It's
a great question. Do you ever maximize your windows on a Mac? Or do you always take and drag and like size them every single time perfectly the way you want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
So PC, definitely the best way to go.
But what would you recommend for a PC? Because this was from Michelle Stevenson, and she asked about a small PC that she can carry that doesn't have to have a lot of files, but for travel.
Okay, so the goal is to have QuickBooks Desktop onto it, is what you had said as well, right? So you want to make sure you get something that's going to have a solid state drive on it for sure, because it's going to load the program faster. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big Dell fan every single time. I personally would like to have a 10 key on mine. So if you don't have to have a 10 key, you can go smaller. But I like having the 10 key myself, unless you use your own keyboard and mouse. HPs you can usually get an HP for a really good deal. Believe it or not, Office Depot, if you scope out Office Depot, is almost always where I end up finding the best deals. You just have to hunt for them a little bit. So start looking if you can, a little bit of time beforehand, and you'll kind of get an idea of what's a good deal or not. I make sure it has, of course, HDMI out. If it happens to have DisplayPort out, the beauty of that is you could do multiple monitors at that point. So the other question I would ask is, would that laptop end up being taken back to the house and end up being docked to be used as a primary computer also? Or is this I've got a desktop and then I'm going to move over to a laptop and on the run when I need to run? So
that makes sense.
I can go grab my different computers and start showing all of them.
No.
But,
no, we don't do that.
Reach out directly, and if you've got some questions on it, and I can talk nerd about this stuff all day long, pretty much.
I just let her know that we answered this live, so she can refer back here too.
Cool. Is there a way to delete multiple open invoices at once, or do you have to do them one at a time? So in this one, there's one assumption based off of this, the accountant version. So that may be one environment, like I don't know if the person had that or not. If you do, you actually have the batch delete void transaction capability on the newer years of QuickBooks Desktop. So you can go in, it'll give you a full listing of them, and be able to select which ones you would want to delete very easily. Additionally, from there, if it wasn't something like that, you could use a third-party application. I always like to use CData, but there's other apps like Transaction Importer Pro. I believe Sasant now does desktop as well, that you can go in and delete that way, so you're not having to do them one at a time. So yes, it is possible. And now I know you're watching all the questions and such, since I can't see all that, right?
Perfect. Yes, I am.
How do I make the program stop making banking rules automatically? QuickBooks Desktop as well. So, and what this is talking about, for those familiar with QuickBooks Desktop, as you pull in transactions, you have this setting where Express Mode, and it will basically create rules automatically or ask before if you want to do that. As you create more and more and more rules like this, it ends up slowing the program down. And if you've ever done it like us, where you're typing in new information, like a new name, and you need to go, and it says, oh, you need to add this person on real quick. You are silly, you say, okay. And then all the work that you kind of prepped ahead of time, but you didn't save, disappears. And you have to add the person in at that point.
That was one of my, it made me stop using it, because I just I did it, even though I knew it happened, I kept doing it.
Me too.
So,
but of course, there is a much easier way than that.
Shameless plug. Actually, the program is pretty cool. If you're using desktop and you love desktop, you'll never change to online. It's fast.
You know, when you've got desktop clients, if you're pulling in the bank transactions, then this is where VendorSync comes into play, because it literally, the short version of it is, you would take your transaction file, the QBO file you would grab from the bank, you pull it into VendorSync first, and it's going to search through all the memos trying to find the name inside of it. If it sees the name or an alias like AT&T or ATT or AT&T, that kind of thing, what it will do is actually suggest the name for it. And then you also can provide a category per vendor, which would pull up on the side here. So when you put the name in, we sync that data back to QuickBooks, and then you just pull the QBO file in, and it automatically will suggest where the different transactions are supposed to go. For all the expense stuff.
And it keeps the vendor list nice and clean too. I think it's just a nice overview way of looking at it too. So
you can also do the work for all the transaction stuff in the cloud before you have to get to the desktop. So if they're working during the daytime, you can in a sense do your homework before you have to download it into the QuickBooks file later on. Describe in detail what issues you are having and how I can help you.
That actually didn't come from the community. That came from my contact form. And I didn't make the page up, but it was somebody who wanted to know how to enter an opening balance that's negative on a bank statement. And like we were chatting before, I've had this question asked to me many times, and it surprises me, but I think people just don't, they know to put the number in, but they can't figure out how to do it. It doesn't make sense, but it's pretty simple to do, right? It's
just guide me, tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, so you're going to go to reconciliation, just pick any bank account. And we'll pretend that you get your bank statement and you overdrew your account, and the beginning balance is like negative $56.99. You're going to hit in negative, put the minus in, $56.99. That's all you have to do. It's the minus sign that will make it work for you, so that you're able to reconcile. Because if you put $56.99, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Correct. And worst case.
Brandon says, is there anything we don't know? No, we've been doing this a long time.
Worst case scenario, if you've already pulled transactions in, usually what this has to do with is you want it before you just go and do this right off the bat. Well, you can search it here, but you're going to go check your opening balance equity account, make sure when it got pulled in that there's not a wrong amount there. Or if it's a situation you're just getting the books, I mean, you shouldn't start. Can't think of a reason why the account would start with a negative balance when you're just getting a new thing set up, but it could happen. You would just create your first opening transaction that way. So if I was to go start reconcile, now I've got my negative here, the pop-ups, which are annoying. Boom. And ultimately what you'd be doing is, I always do a first reconciliation. So if I'm going to start rebuilding 2018 forward, I'm going to do my first reconciliation 12/31/2017 to get me my initial balance. So I know I've got that starting reconciliation point, and then I'll do my first month. I always do just a very quick, easy one right before, so it's nice and clean.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about when you had the bank rules up with vendors saying, if this question happened to be for online, you know how it sometimes can be really pesky that you get the rules
Oh
like
yeah.
suggested rule. And how do you shut that off? Guess what? You can't. You'd have to make like a dummy
Actually,
rule, right?
actually,
Is there a way to shut it off, that suggested rule thing? I don't think there is,
show
unless you know.
suggested rules. You can actually, I'm sorry, you're talking about the where it pops up three, like you categorize one, categorize one, categorize one, and then it does the other.
Mhm.
Um,
I don't think you can shut that
I
off.
don't think you can either,
You could
actually.
make a dummy fake rule, but I don't know why you
We'll
would do
just do it
that.
right here. Let's give it a try. So we'll say, well, actually, what we're talking about is actually just doing this one by, so we'll go 8 by 8, create vendor. Should always go and do all the extra details. I'm going to cheat and go save. So now we've got computer and internet. Great. We're going to say add. Now we're going to come back to the next one, 8 by 8, computer internet, add. Should be one more, 8 by 8, boom, add. Wah, wah, wah.
Joanne says, isn't there a screen that you can click to say, don't show me this again?
Apparently I did. So it's not showing the suggested, right? So let me turn that back on.
Yeah.
And this one's going to be constant contact. Marketing, add.
Yeah.
Marketing, add. There it goes. Ha ha.
So you can
So
shut it.
don't show me this again. I think, is this actually, I wonder if that's going to be for that one vendor. I have a feeling you're going to click that and it's just going to be the next time you get a new vendor, it's going to ask me again. And the next time you do a different vendor, it's going to ask me again. Something tells me. But so, but it seemed to be that if I turned this off.
So it's on the bank rules under the settings on the right.
Yep. Or in the banking center. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good question.
Yeah.
Good question.
It's something that could bother you if you have a lot of the same things or, you know, whatever. There's plenty of reasons why you would want to have that off. So.
And just transferred my company file to a new QB 2020 Pro. When I tried to read in my transactions, QB would not let me select my existing checking account. What do?
Brandon, you're the desktop guy. What do you do? Okay. He's here. Do you know?
So, actually, well, transfer the company. I'm guessing this means they probably upgraded from one to the other, which means it's in QuickBooks Desktop specifically, the bank feeds. Once you have an account linked through the bank feed, you get the little lightning bolt. And the little lightning bolt is like a train track. You can only have one thing at a time. So you'd have to go in and actually you go into the chart of accounts, edit it, and disconnect this from that online connection, and then you'll be good. You'll be able to do it.
You're a great mind reader because I did not. I looked at this question. I said, this is one from Matthews. I cannot figure out what they're asking, but.
If I was reading your mind, it would have been cricket on that one.
I hope Bobbin's listening to this because he does not know what a cricket is.
Okay, so next one here. Does anyone know if it is possible to integrate QuickBooks with Microsoft Power BI in such a way that we can see the invoicing data on QuickBooks to our dashboard in Power BI? For example, all the status of our invoices, such as pending, paid, etc., being displayed on the dashboard. If anyone can help with this, it would be great. I know who should help this.
I know we do. We have a member in our group that's Mr. Power BI, and you can explain what Power BI is if you'd like. But yes, it's Ernest Cook.
Yes. Power BI is really cool, actually.
Says the Microsoft guy.
Yeah. They, I think, good, you did put that there. So Ernest he's a big Microsoft person, and he actually has built quite a few different custom dashboards where there are, for it to work perfectly with QuickBooks Online, there are a couple adapters out there which are trying to say that it will pull data, but really the right way to do something like this would be to get a hold of Ernest. You would actually use a special like ODBC adapter that would pull data from QuickBooks Online, and Ernest would write those special queries to establish and design the dashboard the way that you would like it to look. He definitely can handle that for sure. Like, so.
Yeah, Ernest, this is his wheelhouse, and he's on vacation, and I bothered him with a private message to see if I could get him to come here, but he was golfing. So he was gracious enough to send me that answer and the link. So if you need him, it's his link for his business, the Better Idea Group.
I think we should call him just because of that. I'm actually trying real quick here to pull up Power BI so I can show everybody.
You just happen to have it?
What's that?
You just happen to have Power BI?
Of course I do.
I know.
Of course I do. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this thing. So I don't know that if I got everything going that's showing, but I'll do this real quick. So let's go. So Power BI, basically, you can do visual dashboards of all kinds. You'd have different workspaces that you can. So we use Microsoft Teams, and you can use Power BI inside of Teams if you wanted to, and have it integrated so your clients can come in and see what you need to see there. You can choose different apps to connect with and pull data in. So if I want to do like my Google Analytics or something, I can do that. So I have no idea what this is, but let's find out. So let's go explore.
He showed me some of the graphs and things. It's pretty cool what he's able to do with it.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, we could literally spend a whole day talking through all this stuff, but I'm going to just pull some sample data so you can kind of get an idea. So this is something they had built into it, right? And all of this is built off of different filters and queries and such that you can do. So you can then choose, pop into something, and it should actually change the mapping, everything else, give us the different totals, those kind of things. Sorry for the horrible topic it's on, but not really my choice on that one. But look at that, Florida winning the game. So Power BI, it's great. Then you can share these, store it in, again, embed it inside Microsoft Teams. So if we are setting up specialized teams for each of our clients, they would have one little tab they'd click, and it would make it to where they could see what's going on visually in their business. Pretty cool, huh?
Cool, Ernest. It is very cool.
And so now let's see here. Need to generate a report of all invoices for a specific customer for 2019. How do I do it? Do you know how?
Yep. You go into QuickBooks, customer transaction list, and then filter it, right?
Transaction list by customer. Go in, change your dates, make sure you've got the period of time correct, add filters to your customer for the right customer you want. And you can do a filter for your transaction type also. And that would get you the specialized reporting that way. What other reports for everybody watching, like what are some of the other cool reports you have come up with or done specially for your clients? I'd love to hear, like, tell us about those. It'd be cool. What about you, Linda?
I've got some that are all kind of law specific. So, and you got me thinking about saving them to that place so I can put my name out there. I haven't done it yet, but it's on my to-do list.
Oh yeah. So the community reports is what you're talking about.
The community reports. Yeah.
Yeah.
This question grabbed me because it said WIP, and Sarah and I have a running joke about we type things back and forth about WIP, and we spell it like whipped cream sometimes. And I'm like, oh crap. I know. It's just a thing. We both did it. It was funny. We don't do it anymore, but we did it originally. But this was a weird one. So if you want to pop into QuickBooks, if you want to read it first and then pop into QuickBooks, I tried to replicate what this person was doing. Okay. So
I put in all the expenses to get a used truck ready to sell under the WIP name. I see all the charges under the truck in my balance sheet report. I have someone that has bought in half, paid in half on the total truck, including all expenses. So they've got a partner that basically went in on buying this truck, getting it ready to be sold, which is totally different than what we talked about when I was walking the other day. How do I show that I received cash from that person for those expenses already entered in QuickBooks? Do I 1099 that person for the profit? So like first question is this a partnership? Are they entitled to like half of the revenue from it, or is this a loan? Because if they just lent you the money, then you could put this in as a loan, pay them back, and the truck was yours and everything was fine.
Except they're only buying half a truck.
Well, the language I think they meant on this is they have somebody that I went in on halvesies on this project,
Gotcha. Okay.
like it's a used vehicle, right? So
Reminds-
I would equate this to a used vehicle that, hey, we both bought this vehicle, we're fixing it up, and now we're going to go and sell it. So how do I show on my books that I owe this guy for his half or not?
Well, you can go into QuickBooks, and that's not how I read it. So you can go in and see what I thought.
Let's go with yours.
Yeah. Wait till you see it. Angie says she loves the new look, the new view. It is
Thank
really
you.
cool. So what I did was I created a truck asset, fixed asset, and then I put expenses in on the balance sheet under the truck subcategory called WIP. Because I didn't know what I guess it's work in process. I'm not sure. Like the vehicle was in process of being fixed. I don't know. This is how I read it. I read it very deliberately.
That's the fun of live.
And then I had the person buy half the truck and I put the deposit in. I didn't know what the heck this question meant. So I kind of took it word for word for what I thought I was reading. And of course, it's all wrong, right? The whole transaction's wrong.
So in a situation like this, right, we would start off, they would purchase the vehicle, right? Because they're buying it first to then fix it up. So if they spent $10,000 to buy it and they spent $2,000 on fixing it up, we know that we spent a total of $12,000 on the vehicle before we're going to sell it. For that $12,000, we borrowed $6,000 from our buddy, right?
Who loaned them? Okay,
Who
so
loaned the
Greg's
money.
saying
So if we go about it that way first.
probably inventory, and Joanne saying that if they're must be buying used trucks, fix them and resell, which is what you just see. That's how WIP would come into play.
We do I had an unfair advantage to this one because we actually deal with a used car lot. So
Yeah.
we
Wait do you see what I did? It's completely wrong, but
so where am I going next?
you can go around the balance sheet and see what I did. I put it all in. I mean, putting the expenses on the under the subcategory fixed asset. I read it like exactly what it was, and then I put the deposit there. So I thought I had no clue what this person was saying because it made no sense to me whatsoever. So if you can go to the truck. I was trying to make it be exactly what they said. I didn't make it right. I was going to let you fix it.
Well, so the nice thing is you took the amount. So you put the vehicle in as an asset, right?
Yes.
You've got the WIP here was the extra improvements. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that means we had 19, and then we received half the money from Jose, right?
Right.
Where am I missing it at?
No, the half from Jose got thrown in the balance sheet too. So they had everything in the balance sheet, we just went for it.
Well, so I was trying to see like if I would break it out under Jose, like a loan.
I didn't make it a loan. I had no clue what this person was doing with going in half on a truck. To me, was like they're going in half, like they're both going to own this truck. That's how my brain interpreted that question.
I get to drive it any day that ends in Y, and you get the rest.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I don't drive very much, but I might be getting a Tesla.
Okay, so nice. Okay, we'll move on from this one. So it's from Intuit's community. They won't even know that we didn't finish this one. It's fine.
Well, yeah, it's hard to know what the question even was.
Okay. Is there a folder for attachments to keep that are not attached to a transaction? Sometimes I wonder if I can read. Okay. Nice. Okay. So I have some receipts that I'm not sure how to enter and want to. I'm showing the wrong screen at the moment here. So we will.
If you go to the next page. Yeah. So what my thought was, they wanted to know, they know the transactions are equally attached to each, the receipts are attached to the transactions. How do you have all the receipts? They wanted to get all the receipts.
Oh, so the question is, how do I export all of my attachments?
Yes. So you can. In fact, I recommend doing it in case of audit, at the
Periodically.
end of the year, export them to the cloud. So export, like, here's 2019's attachments. So if you ever get audited and they want to see, because you never want them to see your QuickBooks Online file, right? But they're going to ask for the receipts. If you have them all together in one file for the year, and you can do that if you go, yeah.
But how do you can't filter?
You just, what do you, I can't really see it that well, but you should be able to select them.
You can, but you can't, like, there's no filtering on it. So to do it by year?
Well, go to the settings. I don't know. I've done it in the past, just exported them all.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. So you can export them all. If you click
Yeah.
here, choose all of them, right? And then
Yep.
you would export.
them.
And if we do that, then it gives us a zip folder with all of them in there.
Right.
I was thinking that it would.
Oh, you want to filter and just select.
So let's take a look if it does the uploaded date inside of it. That would be awesome. Or if it has the date in the name or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to have one challenge that I won't be able to show that screen because I don't have that marked up. So
we'll trust you.
Yeah, I didn't do the screen capture that way. So basically what it does, you open it up, you get bills, checks, expenses, gives you the like a full breakdown of everything, and the dating on this stuff is actually all today's date.
Oh,
cool. But there's dating in the naming structure.
Okay.
So there would be ways you could actually kind of play with that also.
Because you do want to kind of separate them by year. You don't want to give the IRS obviously anything that they didn't ask for.
Yeah, and then there is a document where it's unattached.
Mm-hmm.
So there will specifically be an unattached folder that pops up, and you could see just anything that was not specifically attached or linked to something already.
And this is a case of, I love QuickBooks. The receipt capture to me is a lot of steps. HubDoc to me, because there's so many ways to search and export, and I don't know, I just find that to be a lot easier than doing it out of this particular program. But if you're only capturing a few receipts here and there, I mean,
yeah,
you should try to get all the receipts attached to all your, I just had this conversation with an attorney this week that he asked how many receipts should I put on my files. I'm like, all of them, all of them. Would you like the
trick question?
Would you like the section on the code where you should have all your receipts? If you ever get audited, you'll find out the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next one. I would like to group the asset with accumulated depreciation. Hey, didn't you just do this? No, just kidding. With accumulated depreciation directly under the asset on the balance sheet. However, I understand the asset is categorized as a fixed asset. However, the accumulated depreciation is categorized as an other asset, so it can't group directly under the asset. Is this correct? Is there another way to keep the asset and accumulated depreciation together on the balance sheet?
So if you go back to QuickBooks, I'll show you what I did. You had the numbering on, so I added the column back in for numbering so it would show, but you most certainly can. And what I do is you do original costs. So you have the fixed assets. So you'll see equipment, office equipment, I think is the one that I did, office equipment. The one thing I had trouble with was when you looked at the balance sheet, it was a little bit backwards, but I do like office equipment. And then I do underneath that as a sub account, original costs. So you put the original cost and then the accumulated depreciation underneath that. So then you can collapse it and there's the value of the asset and then you can expand it on a balance sheet. And then the numbering will just help you put it in the right order, because if you do it without the numbering, A comes before O. Oh, see, Greg says he uses Z accumulated depreciation, but it's a little Z in front of the A, so it goes
or a period.
Or a period. I work with attorneys. We have a set chart of accounts, and we have the numbering on. We just use numbering. Some people don't believe in that. It's old school, but.
Hey, you are a master of your art. You know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yep. Now, with the new feature coming soon, right? So this was, I think this is actually in this other one. Let me take a quick peek.
The cash flow center is very cool. It's an additional, is it only in advanced, or is it in all? I think it's in all products, right?
To me, in all of them, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
very cool.
pull it up right now, actually. So if I go to, where's my QuickBooks Labs? Oh no, duh. Hey, smart guy. We'll go like this. If you go to this nice little thing at the bottom that now says cash flow right in front of my face, that's where this basically popped up from. And you basically, right now, it was saying before, would you like to be on the list? So I clicked the button, so we'll hopefully get on the list with this a little bit quicker. But Linda, are you familiar with more about what they're doing with this? I think we talked about it a little bit last week, right?
Yeah, I mean, they started this when COVID started because it was one of the things that we were going to be able to use to help our clients, which is why it's in all the products. And I know Intuit's been working really hard on making this work for us so that we can help our clients. Because the cash flow report was kind of not that great, and this is a lot better. It's more of a widget kind of thing with the, you know.
Yeah, this is gonna be a whole whole center.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, they're gonna be, like you said, envelopes and some other things where you'll be able to actually have like their own. Aren't they doing some kind of like their own account wise for merchant processing and all that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all going to be connected to their bank. It's still the same merchant account, but I guess it's going to be somehow connected to that QuickBooks Capital. It looks cool. It's supposed to never break. So, and then the 1% on the checking account is amazing and no fees. I mean, well, you were there.
That's cool.
I had the call, so it's very, very cool.
So when you were out here, we started working on videos for basically top 5 features of QuickBooks Online Advanced, just because we like it. We use it with our clients all the time. We've got, I actually meant to release another one of the videos today, but we've got most of them all done, except, hey, Linda, we forgot to do number 4. So we still got to do number 4.
Oh, no.
So we have top 4.5 features. But be sure to keep an eye for them. We're actually taking all of these different videos and they're being added in as units in QB Community Live groups. So you can kind of go one at a time through it. And we've tried to keep each one, like 8-10 minutes max. So it's not going on too much of a rant on this stuff,
and we're going to be doing a Facebook Live with the whole thing.
That's right.
Go over all of it. So that'll be in the group too.
Yeah, and that's going to be August 20th, I think we had said,
correct.
Right?
Yep, August 20th.
That'll be fun for sure.
Yes.
And we wanted to, on the back end of when you have a Facebook group, there's actually metrics of kind of like group activity of who's most active, what's going on with the group, everything else, like what's the number of posts and comments and everything else. And we just thought we would share kind of some of the things we can see behind, because it's all the activity that you all are doing that is generating that. And we love to see, like, when we're seeing the pluses, that the posts and the comments and everything are up, it means that people are having a good time. They're helping each other out. So thank you once again. We really appreciate it. We hope this is helpful.
And Michelle's here. She's with us.
Oh yeah. Hey, Michelle.
Number 1. Hey, you're number 1 this week.
Yep. So the top, it also shows us like contributors, and this is actually set for a 28-day period, which is why we don't do this like every single week, because it would be kind of difficult that way. But we're going to try to, like, the end of each month, do this as just something that kind of shows, just to say thank you to everybody that's collaborating and contributing. So
because it's not just, it's answering questions, asking questions, and just generally, like, and Robin's always in there cheering everybody on. We've got all these nice people that cheer everybody on.
And there's tons of more people that were listed, but this is the top 10. Otherwise we'd have like this huge thing. So we thank everybody who's always contributing and joining in. We thank the people who are just jumping in and learning from it, even if it's just comfortable to kind of sit back and watch it. Thanks for being part of the group.
And thank you for jumping in on our Sunday Fun Day, which is, this week was crazy. If I could write that book, I'd be like, well, these people are a little bit crazy in our group. You didn't read all of them, but it was like, this story started out in one way and it went to a really bizarre turn, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I do have one more question after you announce your ADP accounting connect.
Okay. So on August 6th, I will be doing a webinar. Actually, Heather Satterley and I will be doing, there's 3 of us, Heather from ADP as well. We all 3 will be doing a discussion about Accountants Connect with ADP, which, again, we've really dove into it through this whole year, and it's great. I mean, this piece is just really, really phenomenal. It's free for accountants. We don't get paid to say this. I just really like it. So it's worth checking out. If you've got clients that are using ADP, it's nice to have a single dashboard to get to all of your clients all into one place. And then you had a question?
I have a question from Purvi Gandhi, and it's how do bank reconciliation for multiple years if the client never did that? Oh, how do you do that? Yeah, if the client never did bank reconciliations for multiple years, I always try to give it a shot and hope that I can get it all done at once and in one shot. But usually you have to go back to like the last good one and go forward month by month. Do you have a trick?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, right way, wrong way, right? So there is always the possibility that maybe if it's QBO, perhaps they weren't done because when they moved to QBO, they didn't remember they had to do that. So that's a
Or they thought
possibility.
that you don't have to because you have bank feeds. So many people say, well, I have bank feeds. Why do I have to reconcile?
Yeah. But the first thing I would do is, like you just said, is I would take the earliest statement that I have available, um, and I would basically take the beginning balance, try to reconcile it all the way up to that, and if I'm lucky and it balances out, I'm like, woohoo! But I mean, hopefully during your interview or talking with the client, you'd have a better feel of whether that should likely happen or not. And if it won't, you probably need to go back anyways, as best you can. I mean, there's so many variances to that, right? I wouldn't go back 7 years if they've already done
Exactly.
taxes
Well,
and all that.
also, if what usually happens, and this has been my experience, I don't know if it's been yours, but if there's been a tax return done on 2019, I go back to 2019, make an adjustment, go forward from 2019, because I'm not going
Good
to
point.
dig out all the prior periods because you can't affect unless they
Yep.
pay you to do that, you don't want to affect what's happened and have to dig into that big old can of worms. So,
That is a good point. So on that note, we
yeah.
are basically done for the day. Any last questions?
I got blue on my face.
I could change it away. Should I do that, or should I? I
Oh,
think I should stay
I
here.
can leave the blue. No, no, no more questions. We're
Did
good.
you eat Smurfs for lunch?
I ate purple popsicle, no, blue popsicles. It's probably been my green screen.
Yes. Hey, that's pretty cool though, right? You actually, yeah. Never mind.
Actually use
So,
my green screen.
guys, if you liked this new layout, please let us know. I mean, it's something a little bit different. We just wanted to step it up a notch and just
It's
kind of give a
cool.
different feel to it, of course.
It's cool.
And as always, we appreciate you joining us each week. So, as always, here's wishing you guys all a very successful week.
Thanks for coming.